What's up, rookies? Welcome to another episode of the Rookie Pharmacist podcast, where we showcase what pharmacists do and explore inspiring pharmacy career paths. I am thrilled to bring this special episode in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. This month is a time to celebrate and recognize the incredible contributions of Hispanic individuals to our communities. And today, of course, we're focusing on those within the pharmacy profession. And I am so excited to have Dr. Sarah Lewis, whom I've known since she was a pharmacy student, 4 or 5 years, right? Welcome, Sarah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome, awesome. Really, thank you for being here. Let's start by getting to know you a little bit better. Tell us about yourself, your Hispanic heritage in particular.
So for me personally, I prefer to identify as Latina, mainly because Hispanic, the word is tied so much to Spain and colonization.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, tell me about your Latina heritage then.
So most people can't tell this by looking at me, but I am mixed race. And you can probably tell from my name. The last name Lewis comes from my father's side, who is white and primarily Irish.
Okay.
And
Okay.
on my mother's side, we're Mexican American.
Okay. Okay. So your mother's parents are from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
How was that heritage? How did that affect your identity?
Yeah. So it was really challenging growing up, being mixed race, not really feeling like you belong to either community fully.
Mm.
But um, growing up with a single mother, I primarily identified with my Latina side because I was raised with them.
So how do you decide that pharmacy was the right career for you?
Mm. So when I was a child, my mom, she put herself through nursing school while raising me. And
Okay.
I saw how hard she worked and how dedicated she was to making a life for us. But I also felt like I didn't have enough time with her. And that really instilled in me the desire to have work-life balance.
I
Of course,
see.
at the time, I didn't know the words for it, but that's when at 13 I met a friend of my aunt's who she was a pharmacist and had been for a few years or at that time. She was telling me like what her life is like as a pharmacist and how she's able to care for her family now or at that time.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so that work-life balance was something that
Got you.
really led me to pharmacy and really made it stick in my mind like this is a career that I want to do. So
And you're 13 at this point.
yeah, whenever somebody would say like what do you want to do when you grow up? I was like I want to be a pharmacist. They would
Wow.
look at me weird like why do you know what that is?
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know about
Yeah.
pharmacy. That's why we do this podcast so we can spread the word. Okay. Okay. Do you for sure at 13 know I want to go to pharmacy school?
So like most of us, we kind of wheedle our way there by trying different things, you know. I worked and put myself through undergrad. So it was more like I was trying to make sure I got a bachelor's at least at that point. And once I got my bachelor's, then I was like, okay, let me get these other experiences. I got research experience and I worked in a pharmacy for about a year and a half. And I was like, okay, this is definitely something that I want to pursue. Like, I could have stopped at a bachelor's and did something with my bio degree, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But at that time, there was a pharmacist at my job that was like, so did you put your application in yet? You think
Oh
application
man.
set? And I was like, no, I'm still working on it.
I love those. I had a lot of those throughout my journey to people to remind you of what people who see in you what you're capable of and remind you to go for it. The seed was planted when you were 13 and you go through undergrad and you get experiences, you dabble here and there, you even work in a pharmacy, and then you decide to go for it after um, someone in your life reminds you and pushes you to do it. So tell us then about your pharmacy journey. Can you walk us through your journey from pharmacy school or even from undergrad to pharmacy school to where you're working today?
So because I had to put myself through undergrad, I was working a lot of hours. I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to pay my tuition, and tuition was just going up, and it was hard to get classes because of the financial crisis at the time. It was about
Mm-hmm.
2009. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there were no courses available because there were no teachers to teach them because everybody was getting laid off. So it was a time, but
Okay. Okay.
eventually I finished. I got my bachelor's, and I
How long
finished.
does it take you to get your bachelor's with because you're working
Yeah,
um and going to school? So you graduate in 4 years like everybody else with your
it took
bachelor's
me
degree?
6. It took me 6 years to graduate, and
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
it was a lot,
mm-hmm,
but it's my path. Not
mm-hmm,
everybody has the same journey, and
mm-hmm,
this is
mm-hmm,
something that when I talk to other people that are Black and brown people, they
mm-hmm.
also identify that,
Yeah,
they
I was just gonna say
didn't.
it's kind of the same story for me, immigrating from another country and coming to the United States where I wasn't eligible for grants because of my immigration status. I had to work 30 to 40 hours a week and still take classes. Taking 12 units was just not feasible to get good grades. So that takes a while. It took me 6 years. And I think as brown and black people, we many of us, not all of us probably, but many of us don't have the privilege of having a support system uh, to
Monetarily.
yeah yeah. So
Of course,
six
we have
years
the love and the support of our families, but
with financially it's not always there. So it takes longer to get through um, a lot of things, including school. So you get through your bachelor's degree, and where do you go to pharmacy school?
so I went to Toro, like you,
Yes, yes, go to
and
um.
it took me a while there too. I was I was a parent during pharmacy school. I still am a parent, but uh,
Mhm, mhm,
it wasn't the same for me as the rest of my classmates. There were times I had to focus on family obligations.
mhm, Or how old was your child when you were in pharmacy school, when you started pharmacy school?
So she was 7 when I first started. Um,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
she, she was going through a tough time because we had just moved to be closer to the school.
mm-hmm,
It was I was there physically, but I wasn't able to be there emotionally a lot of the times.
Yeah, I get it because pharmacy school is very time consuming. You have to study hard and work hard to pass your classes. So the more time you spend studying, the less time you have to be there for your children, for your husband, and for your family in general. Um,
But eventually, I did have to step back away from school a little bit to take care of family because um, during my rotations, my father-in-law got sick with colon
mm,
cancer, and then he passed, and my husband ended up developing a brain tumor around the same time. So I was primary caretaker for both of them, and then I developed my own health issues and ended up having multiple miscarriages during that time and had to have
whew,
surgery for an ectopic pregnancy. So it was a tumultuous time, but I was
I
able to
bet, I bet. So this is all happening while you're in pharmacy school.
Mhm.
How
Yeah.
do you deal with it? How do you get through it?
I think I definitely had experience dealing with delays from my undergrad. I didn't necessarily think of them as like as failures. I
Okay.
I'm more as like, okay, this is just going to take me a little longer than it does most people.
Okay. And is it possible to step away from a pharmacy program and get back to it when we're ready?
So for me, I did end up not passing a couple rotations, and
Because of everything going on.
because of that, I had to do some remediation where I worked with professors,
Mhm,
two professors, and we brushed up on my clinical skills and made sure that I was able to be where I needed to be for my acute care rotations specifically.
mhm, 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 mhm.
Were able to get me to a point where I was able to pass with honors for both of them.
What?
Yeah,
Awesome. Wow.
I
This is
really
resilience right
attest
here.
to their teaching skills and their abilities to
Yeah. Yeah.
work with
Yeah.
me the way that I needed to be worked with. So,
Yeah. Man, so you're going through all of this and you are able to take a break from pharmacy school. And so remind me again, when do you start pharmacy school? When do you take a break and when do you graduate?
so at Toro at the time, they did a 4-year program,
Okay.
2-year didactic, 2 years
Mhm,
of
mhm,
rotation.
mhm,
So everything kind of kicked off around the time that I was on my rotations.
mhm.
First, intended to graduate in 2021.
Okay.
Um, I ended up graduating in 2023.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
there were times of on and off, but overall,
Mhm.
it took me an extra 2 years.
Okay. Okay. But you did it. You graduate. You're now working as a pharmacist. Tell
Yeah.
me now, what is your favorite thing? What do you like most about being a pharmacist?
So at the moment, I'm working in retail.
Yeah.
Initially intended to do residency, but my
But life was life.
my life was lifing, and so everything else kind of took a back seat, and I just
Hmm.
did what I needed to do to make sure I was able to provide for my family. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
thing that I enjoy most, I think, is definitely educating patients and teaching
Hmm.
them like how to use their devices, how to use their injectables, to how to use these things and how these things can impact their lives,
Yeah. Yeah.
because a lot of these things can improve their daily living,
Hmm.
and
Hmm. Hmm.
how they move through the world. And that's something
Educating. Okay.
you
Okay.
necessarily get from the doctor all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I've had patients in my family, and I've come to realize that what we take for granted as being in the healthcare profession, our patients have no clue. So for me too, being able to explain a concept or medication, mode of action, the side effects, and getting the patients to understand
Yeah.
their treatment plan better, and seeing that look in the eyes when you clarify something is always like a high for me.
Bulb goes off. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And you
yeah.
can, okay, they got it.
Yeah, as pharmacists, we're definitely educators. But so you did mention that you originally intended to do residency. Um, is that idea still brewing in your head? Are we still going? Because it's never too late, right?
It'd be my third time applying. I don't know.
It will be your third time applying for residency?
I didn't match either. Uh, I didn't, I got so discouraged. I didn't even apply for round two. I
You
know.
you
I
you you
know.
need to be talking to us because we got people that can help you.
I know.
Did you ever get any professional help with it?
No. I,
But let me tell you, you were raised by a resilient mother. You are a resilient woman, and you can do it for sure. I believe so. Okay. All right. So, this interview, man, is not going to I was expected. Oh my God. Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. Okay.
So I'm
So,
still deciding if I want to do residency.
okay.
Because of the issues with my reproductive health, we are still considering whether we want to do like we ended up doing in vitro,
Okay.
and we're
Okay.
still thinking about like family planning and when we want to do implantation and things like that. So I think
You have a lot going on. You have a lot going on. And
and a
I
high
would
schooler.
totally in a high school or a teenager, and I would totally understand if you put residency and the idea of it for on hold for a while. I know from our previous conversations that you do want to get into ambulatory care, and residency is not the only way to do it. Um, we can talk about other ways, off the record, but you can still get to your dream ambulatory care job without doing a residency. So just keep that in mind. Okay.
Thank you.
Um,
I can
man,
have
we talked about, I was gonna ask you what challenges have you faced,
all the
throughout your
challenges.
family, throughout your pharmacy journey, but there's been health challenges, family challenges, educational challenges, financial challenges. Um, Any challenges that you think are pertinent to you, specifically as a Latina in the pharmacy in on the journey in the pharmacy profession?
Yeah. So I think a lot of the times when I'm in professional spaces,
Mm-hmm.
look around the room and I don't see anybody that looks like me or has a
Girl.
similar experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally get that. I totally get that. It's so what are your thoughts on the current representation of Hispanics in the pharmacy field or
So
Latinos, as you prefer?
I think uh, social media is definitely helping to connect people. I think that
Mhm.
uh, that cultural associations are definitely helping like bridge that gap and connect people. For
Mhm.
instance, National Hispanic Pharmacist Association, NHPA, is something that was started during my last couple of years at Toro. I don't know if they're still active, but these are ways that we can come together for a united purpose and
Mhm.
try and serve our community and connect people.
But the National Hispanic Pharmacists Association will help in connecting current pharmacists
Mhm.
in the profession. But what steps do you think we can help to get that pipeline to get to pharmacy students or aspiring pharmacy students actually to consider to learn about the pharmacy profession and want to get in it? Any thoughts?
So education is something that's has been that being a barrier to them becoming professionals.
Yeah, yeah.
Systemically troubled for a long time,
Mhm,
especially in terms of supporting Black and Brown children
mhm.
and then young adults. Like the other day, there was a couple of children that were in the lobby and they were like, oh, look, there's the doctor. When I'm with my white, sorry.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. Representation, representation. Yeah, yeah.
Thinking about how to break down these barriers is really hard.
But you brought up education though. I mean, I was asking you the question, but I think at the young middle school and high school level, I think association like the NHPA, National Hispanic Pharmacists Association, can develop programs where they go to school,
Outreach. Yeah.
outreach programs where they go to schools And
In Antioch, there's a medical high school, Dozier Libby.
I heard about Doja Libby. Yeah,
Really
yeah,
interesting
yeah, yeah,
to do
yeah,
outreach as well.
yeah. But let me ask you this question because you got really emotional when you mentioned the kid that called you a doctor, that pointed at you and could see a doctor in you and get so excited about it. What about that brought out all those emotions? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Representation that I am.
Yes. But
It's something that I'm still trying to process because there's a lot of internalized racism in our community
absolutely.
and that I personally experienced.
I'm sure we could have a whole other podcast episode on this.
Yeah.
But definitely the representation and being that future in someone else's eyes is priceless, for sure, for sure. Um,
And even when you think of like career days at elementary schools, like who are the people that are coming into those? You know, do they necessarily look like us? Are they from the same communities? Are they actually going to other communities to work and then coming home?
yeah, because it'd be nice to have people who, to have pharmacists who serve populations that they look like.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It wouldn't just be nice, but studies have shown that patients do better when they're taking care of people who understand them to the
And
core.
culturally,
Yeah, culturally and in many other ways. What does Hispanic Heritage Month mean to you personally? Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily have experience having gone out of my way to celebrate it because it's something that I live every day.
Yeah, I see. Okay. You live Hispanic Heritage Month every day. That's your life.
Yeah.
We just talked about you feeling so proud about being able to be the face of a doctor in another child's eyes. And I think that ties to this question that I want to ask you. Um, what I know you've gone through a lot of challenges. I know your career path is still on the way. You've graduated from pharmacy school, you're working, but you still have dreams in pharmacy that you're working towards. You have dreams personally that you're working towards. So what achievements are you most proud of in your career so far?
I think in my career, I'm extremely proud that I finished pharmacy school. I'm
Absolutely.
the first in my family to get a bachelor's. I was the first in my family to get a master's, to get a PharmD. And I did the dual degree. So I do have a public health master's.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
being able to have accomplished all of that is something that I'm extremely proud of. But I do recognize that so many that look like me aren't able to because of societal issues.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Especially with all the hoops that you've had to jump through. And I'm sure that you have advice for the generation to come. What advice would you give to aspiring pharmacists who look like you, who want to get into pharmacy, who want to get onto this journey? What advice would you have for them to make their journey a little smoother than yours has been?
Ask for help.
Ah, that's such a
Find
good
your
one.
people and ask for help. I think that's something that took me a long time to realize was okay.
You know, when you say ask for help, I had to pick up the phone at some point when I just got into pharmacy school and just started, and I called my mom, who was way back home in Cameroon in Africa. And I said, Mom, I can't do this by myself. And she quit her job. She got on a plane a month after I had asked for help, and she was here and she was helping me with the kids so I could study and go through pharmacy school. And I know I wouldn't have gone through pharmacy school without her, but she also would not have come if I hadn't asked for help.
Yeah. Everyone can help in their own ways.
Yeah.
Friends can help with studying. Family can help with making sure that you have extra food or whatever ways that they show up for you. If you don't ask, they don't know you need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sarah, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come and share your pharmacy journey with us. You've gone through a lot, you've gone through a lot of challenges, but you have managed to um, pull yourself together and get through it. And now you're a pharmacist and you're still managing to dream further and bigger in your pharmacy journey. Your advice to ask for help really was what resonated most with me because many people do not know that they can ask for help. And people do not know you need help unless you ask. That is a quote. It's going to be people do not know you need help unless you ask. Sarah Lewis.
Okay.
I am so proud of you, honestly, for what you've done and what you've achieved so far. I'm sure you're an amazing pharmacist, and your dreams, regardless of whatever they are going to come through. You just have to keep doing what you're doing, believe, and take your time. You took your time in undergrad, you took your time in pharmacy school, but you stayed on the right track. You didn't give up, and that's the message I see here. Do not give up. Um, our cultural heritage on its own brings challenges, which you experience in undergrad, and
So, but it also brings enrichment because it's how I'm able to connect with patients that look like me. And in
so
this country, there's a huge population, especially in the state of California. There's a huge population of people that look like me. And we make up only 3% of the population of pharmacists.
man, we were gonna talk more about that too. And we could have a whole other episode about how Hispanic pharmacists help the California population.
Mm.
That's just huge. You did mention the challenges that it brings, but you also mentioned the enrichment that it brings, which we must not take for granted. So thank you, Sarah. And as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, I hope this conversation has not only inspired aspiring pharmacists, but also encouraged all of us to continue to foster inclusion in our workplaces, in the care that we provide. So before we wrap up, is there any final message that you would like to share with our listeners, especially in the Hispanic community?
Don't give up. Even if it takes you longer, don't give up.
Don't give up, guys. You heard it, because Sarah did not give up. And no matter what challenges you are going through, do not give up. And if you need to get in touch with Sarah and ask her any questions, you can just drop a message here or send me an email at all the information is down below, and I'll help connect you with Sarah. Don't forget to subscribe if you like the conversation. And until our next episode, stay blessed. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.